If you see a hair somewhere sticking up here, like right there, no, you didn't. I have what I like to call an abnormally large head. Hello, everybody. If you see a hair somewhere sticking up here, like right there, no, you didn't. I can't get it to go away. Can't find my clips right now. You know what? We're just going to ignore it. But welcome or welcome back. Most likely welcome back because it has been a long time since I have made a video. Life has been absolutely crazy. And, you know, I'm thinking about doing some more kind of vloggy videos. I'll talk more about it like maybe at the end to see if it's something you guys would be interested in. But like that might include kind of talking a little bit more about what's going on with my life. But new jobs, quitting the new jobs, going back to old jobs, starting another surrogacy journey, dealing with that. My cat died this past week. Second cat this year. We had 4 cats. One died last year. They're all old cats. Another one died earlier this year. And then we just had to put one down last week. So it has been a horrendous week. It's been really bad. But you know what? Knitting has been the one thing that has been keeping me sane. Honestly, I am so thankful for knitting. So let's get into it. Let's talk about all of the finished objects that I've done since I think March or April. One of those two is the last time that I made a video, which is crazy. So there's a few things that I've gotten done. Honestly, you're going to be like, Jill, this doesn't seem like much for a couple of months, but a few of these projects were quite intensive and took a lot of my time, even if they're not that big, but you will see why. I've ripped out, I've kind of leaned into the process part of the knitting more than the product part of the knitting, and I've learned so much from it, so much. So let's talk about it. Okay. So I am going to just kind of throw these out there. I think this is the thing that I got done right after my last video because I made these mostly when I was doing a little road trip. So back in April, I went to my parents' house and I stayed for a week all by myself, no kids, no spouse or anything because my father had to have surgery. And so I was there to help while he was having the surgery. And then I stayed for about a week to kind of help him get home and acclimate and that sort of thing. So I made some fingerless gloves. And you're like, Jill, these are not the same color. You would be correct. So I'll put these on real quick. I believe these are called the Pioneer gloves. It's been so long, but I will have something here showing you. And here I'm going to like roll up my sleeves here so you can see. These are extremely adaptable. So this is how long I made mine, as you can see. So it goes right about to the knuckle of my thumb and right about to the knuckle of my pinky. So the rest of these fingers. And then I only did it about here. So what's really nice about this pattern is that you can, obviously, like I said, adapt it to whatever you want. If you want to have it cover almost your entire hand, go way past your pinky, you can have it go almost to the end of your thumb if you want. Whatever you want to do, you just keep going. You just keep going, and then you bind off. Same thing here. When you're making the beginning of it, you just make it however long you want to make it, and then you make the rest of the glove. You could make it down to your elbow if that's what you wanted to do, and if you had very straight arms that didn't flare out too much like mine do. But it's really nice. As you can see, like I said, I wanted it to be a little bit longer, but I also didn't want it to be too long. I just, for some reason, the stitching here, I just kind of love the look of this. The increases, they're just so pretty. I don't know. In this yarn, so again, we're talking about, Jill, why are they different colors? I'll take these off now. The reason that they're different colors is because I used yarn from an advent calendar that I received last year for Christmas. And I wanted to use up some of the colors. I intend to make more of these. And I think I'm going to make at least one more set and then use other colors. So what I did is it was all mini skeins. So I just took one color of each, and I took ones that were, you know, somewhat similar colors. They look they look a little bit less crazy different on, I mean, they look more of a different color on camera than they do in real life. You can definitely tell in real life they're different, but they're not quite the stark difference you see on camera. But yeah, this pattern did not take long at all to make. It was relatively simple. Yeah, I mean, this is just a really, really great adaptable fingerless glove pattern if you want one. And the yarn is, like I said, it's from an advent calendar. It is from Genetic Cryptid Studios, which is Frey, and they are a disabled knitter, spinner, fiber artist maker. And I don't know if they have, as of like right now, because it is September of 2025. I know they're doing the advent calendar again. I already bought one. I have no idea if there's any left. You can go to their Etsy. I'm going to link all of this down below. But the yarn that they use, I believe, is an OOAK or an OAAK base. I'll put it up somewhere here on the screen or show you. It is so soft. It is just so nice and sturdy. It was a breeze to work with. All of their yarns that I've had, which I'll show you another object that I have that's made from yarn from them. I just happen to be using a lot of their yarn. It's really, really good yarn. So if you're looking into hand-dyed yarn, they do a lot of just various different colors, different cool things. So definitely check them out. And I think you should make this pattern because it's super easy, simple, quick. I love it. And like I said, I used one mini skein. So my hands are not super big hands, but I used a mini skein for each, and I still had maybe like this much of a ball left. So I think if you made them a little bit bigger or even a little bit longer, I think you could still do it. But definitely if you do the shorter version of the Pioneer, at least on the wrist shorter version, you will be good probably with a mini skein. No worries whatsoever. So that's the first thing that I've made since then. I need to make another set. I'm thinking, since I already have like a purple pink, I have some blues and greens, but I also have kind of, well, I think the orangey reds I used on the other thing, but I think I might still have some reds. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if I want to make like a greeny pair or if I want to make like a pinky red or a yellowy orangey color. We shall see. The next thing is, I think this was the next thing. Again, this is using Frey's yarn, and this was again using 1 and a partial mini skein of that same advent calendar, and then just a regular yarn that I bought from them. I'll have to look up. I think I know what it's called. Okay, so this is the Spur Hat. Now, it's a little bit hard for me to show you exactly. I don't think it shows it as well. I'm going to include a picture here. It kind of looks a little bit nicer. You can see a little bit better on theirs. But this is mine, so I'm going to show you what it looks like undone. So this is what it looks like undone. Now, the thing I'm going to say here is, don't make the bigger size. I can tell you that 150 million %, you do not need to make the larger size unless you have like really, really thick hair. If you have like extremely thick hair, big curly hair, if you have a hairstyle like really thick, like dreadlocks or something that's going to add a lot of bulk to your head, do not make the larger size. I have what I like to call an abnormally large head, like the circumference of my head. And this is not even a joke. I've measured my head and my dad has the exact same thing. So like he has a larger circumference head, like myself and my spouse. my head is larger than their head. Like when we wear, if I was going to wear their hat, which I don't really wear like baseball caps much, but if we were, I have to make it way bigger. And it's funny because we have two children, one's biologically mine, the other isn't. The one that's biologically mine has the exact same thing, has a bigger head. So strong genetics in the family. But that being said, I thought, well, let's make the larger size, which I think was the adult large. No, don't do that. It's going to be too big. Like I said, unless you have a very, very, very thick hairstyle, adult medium or smaller. But here is it, you know, kind of all wrapped up. So I'll put it on my head so you can see, like I said, even with my hair, as you can see, it's just so big that I have to have such a large brim. And like I said, I already have a big head and this is relatively loose on me. So that's the only thing that I am not happy about with this hat, is that it is pretty big. But, you know, if I wanted to, I don't know, poof up my hair one day, wear extensions or do something, this is going to fit anybody's head. Who knows? If I give it away one day, I can find a big-headed person and they will love it. So this fits really well. This hat is done in brioche. So I'll show you what I mean. So the first part is not. So that's why I'm going to take it out again so you can see. So the first part is just ribbing, and then you just go into a small section of stockinette, and then this part here with the other color, that is the brioche part. Now, if you saw in the beginning in the pattern, you do not have to do 2-color brioche. I did 2-color brioche because I just thought it would look cool, but they do the pattern in just 1-color brioche. Honestly, I don't think it makes any difference if you do 2-color or 1-color brioche, other than if you have to like frog it, it could make it a tiny bit harder, but in all honesty, it doesn't really do it. I actually liked doing the 2-color brioche. Now, I've tried brioche one other time, didn't like it, had a hard time, but I was like, you know what? We're determined. This thing took me way longer than it should have because I had to keep ripping out the brioche over and over and over again for a multitude of different reasons. But I did not give up because I was like, you know what? We're going to work through this. And I found different videos talking about how to work back a drop stitch in brioche, which I will leave that down below. I believe it's Nimble Needleworks. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible. He's a famous knitter, and for some reason it's slipping my brain, but you'll see down below. You'll know who I mean probably. But yeah, like, and doing the increases, the way the pattern read at first, I swear I don't know if my brain doesn't work or what happened, but it took me forever, plus asking online in like knitting help groups as to what do they mean. I don't know why the pattern. So then of course I like use stitch markers to make sure I'm getting everything right. Even the top part, this part right here, you know, where you close up. I don't think I did it exactly perfectly, but whatever. I got it done is all I can say. But would I make this hat again? No. I think that the brioche with the increases or with the decreases and just all the finickiness of it, while it's a pretty hat, and I think I would like it more if it fit my head a little bit better, I still think it's a pretty hat. So I'm not going to like take it apart. Oh, and I didn't weave in my end here. Whoops. Oh well, who cares? I'll probably never end up weaving that in. Overall, the hat is really pretty. It is a nice pattern. If you're a pro at brioche knitting and it's just like easy peasy, lemon squeezy for you, go ahead and make it. It's a cute hat. I love they say that it's the Spur Hat. It's supposed to be like snow tracks, I guess, like the way of going through snow, like skiing or sledding or something like that. So like I said, it's a really pretty hat, and if you have it in the proper size and you're good at brioche, it is very warm because of the brioche part of it. It feels very nice and chunky and warm, but this is made in fingering weight. So let's talk about the yarn that I used for it. Again, All the yarn in this is from Genetic Cryptid Studios from Frey. So the yarn that I used for all of this section and then the lighter part of this section is all the same. And that is, I believe it was called Peachy Keen. I will definitely have the name of it here. As far as I know, I don't think that they have that colorway anymore. They usually make colorways and then do a new one and do a new one. They don't have standard colorways, but I'm sure they're going to have something similar to it. But I really like orangey colors. That's just my favorite color. So this was pretty orangey. So I actually got this yarn, I believe, maybe last year for my birthday, which is right around almost the end of October, mid to end of October. And I was just holding on to it. I tried using it for something else. I ripped it back out. I started to make a muscle burrow hat. I always say that wrong, and then I didn't like how that worked out, so I ripped it out and I used it for this, and now I'm pretty happy with this. And then you probably won't be able to tell, but there's actually 2 different colors for this part, the pearls, for the brioche. And those were just 2 of the colors from that advent calendar. So the same advent calendar I made these gloves in, fingerless gloves, I used for here. I would say I got to, oh gosh, it's going to be even hard to tell because I used almost the exact same colors. I don't even know if I can find where I switched the colors because honestly, they're almost exactly the same. You can't even tell. I used 2 different colors in that advent calendar that were like literally almost the exact same color. And so you can't even tell. Even I am looking at this now and I can't tell where I switched out the colors. Maybe if I look on the inside of the hat, I could. I don't know. Let's see. Let us see. Maybe here? So you can tell I did not weave in any of my ends. You know, honestly, I can't tell, but it looks so funny inside out. Honestly, I can't tell, but again, what would be a really cool thing that you could do is if you do make this hat and you do use 2-color brioche, you could either use a fade or, ombre or color changing, or use like a few different colors within the darker color of the brioche. And I think that would be super pretty. Maybe if you want to use like white, and then you could use rainbow or color changing, or if you want to make a Halloween hat, you could do like the orange and like a green or a purple. You could do some really cool things with this hat. So overall, I like the pattern. However, I probably wouldn't make it again because I'm not going to make another hat in brioche. But if you are going to make it, go a smaller size. That's that. Okay, the next thing is one of my bigger projects. This took me a very long time. I did some monogamous knitting with this. I went on vacation to visit family. So over the summer, I took my kids to my in-laws. My spouse had to stay home because they had to work and they couldn't come due to what they were doing. So I took the kids by myself, but when I went there, I brought a few different things with me, and I ended up only working on this and almost finishing it other than the button band. That took forever, and then I'll show you one more thing I added to it. But I'm going to include a picture or video here of me with it on, as well as what it looks like in the pattern. This is the Be My Tulip top. So I'll just show you here. This is a tank top that is fully lace work. It was quite the project. I can tell you that. This took me forever. This tested me in ways that I don't think I've ever been tested before, because I officially learned how to follow a knitting chart back and forth while in lace. The first part of the pattern, most of the pattern, actually comes with typed out word instructions with the lace, but then towards the end, I don't know if the person that made it was just like, I'm done typing out the words or what happened, but towards the end there's only a chart. You have to learn how to do it, otherwise you can't. So I learned how to do a chart. I would read the pattern before you do this if you make this top, because there are some issues with the pattern. I didn't read that part. Like, you won't notice it until you see the different projects. So I'll have links down below to all of the Ravelries for these projects. Look at my notes for this project as well as other people's notes for this project, because you will see that there are some issues with the chart. I don't think I have the exact issues because I didn't really think about adding it into my Ravelry until afterwards. But throughout there, if you come to an issue and you think, is it me or is it the pattern? Try to, tink it back a little bit, do it again. And if it's still not working, it might be the pattern. There are quite a few issues with some of the lace work where it just doesn't make any sense and you kind of have to just follow your instincts on it. It's pretty much the same pattern throughout, which is this really pretty pattern. So if you feel like, hey, this is not making sense, it might not be. So there's that. This is in Knit Picks, Andy of the Wool's Pumpkin, I believe. I was thinking online this was going to be a much oranger color. This is almost a burnt copper, I would say. I would not categorize this. I mean, I guess this would be pumpkin, but to me, this is actually looking a little bit more orange on camera, but it is a more brown color. Yeah. So now let's talk about that. So I would say that this yarn, for me, I've never used their yarn before. I don't know if I just need to wash it a few more times, but to me it's kind of itchy. I don't find this super soft. Like, it's itchy to me. I would find this yarn way, way, way more soft than I would this yarn. So I honestly wouldn't use this yarn to make this tank top, because if you're going to be wearing it with just like a bralette or just like a very thin tank undershirt, this is going to be getting on your skin, and I think it's caused me a little bit of itchy issues. And so there's that. I guess I just think that I'm a much larger person than I am. I am 5'2". As of this video, I'm about 174. So I am a larger person. I am overweight. Technically, I think I'm still in the obese category if you follow what the BMI is. And I did measure myself, but I thought to myself, well, I want to have a little bit of ease. I don't want it snug on my body. And so I made a little bit of a larger size than what like my just frame would be. And I regret that. I think if you're going to make this, don't put too much ease, because when I try it on, and again, I think I showed the video either now or I can show it to you again, this just sits so loose against my body that I haven't actually worn it that much, which is a shame because it's so pretty. I'm considering maybe next year making another one, but with different yarn and a smaller size so that it fits more snug on my body, because I think I'm gonna like it. I don't know what I'll do with this one if I decide to make another one. I don't think I feel like wanting to rip it out because it's so much work, but maybe find someone who this would fit and they would really like it. So for the button band, this button band it just took me so long. You would think for something so simple, it would not take forever. This button band took forever. It's just a lot of, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now, in the pattern, it has buttonholes, so you can button and unbutton, which is really nice if you want for accessibility, if you want to be able to put it on and then close it up instead of pulling it over your head. Like if you have issues with accessibility, that's really nice. If you can't do buttonholes and you still want that open close, you could just use snaps, magnetic snaps or regular snaps. I was too lazy and I did not want to do the buttonhole, so I literally just sewed these buttons on. This is permanently closed. You cannot open it. Don't try. These are the buttons. They are from, I bought them from Joann's. I do have the name of the buttons, the style, and the company because RIP Joann's is no more, but they're not exclusive to Joann's. So I have it in my Ravelry page, and I will include it down below in the description box. They were just the buttons that I had. Honestly, I probably, again, would not have used these buttons for this because it does weigh it down. These buttons are a little bit heavy. I probably would have used lighter buttons, but again, didn't feel like it. Overall, it is a very, very, very pretty pattern. The Be My Tulip tank. Oh, by the way, one more thing. I felt that the armholes were a little bit boring. So what I did is I jazzed it up a bit and I added a scalloped edge. This is in crochet. I don't think I have the pattern for it, but literally all I did was I Googled crochet scallop, and I just found a written tutorial that shows you how to make a scallop, and then I just put it on the edge. Honestly, I don't know how many there are. I kind of just modified it if I needed to. So this is what, let's see if I can get you to see a little bit better. This is what the armhole looks like. I added this scalloped edge. Normally it was just a, like this, regular, but I added a scalloped edge. I just thought this tank top is so feminine in my opinion, and especially if you make it in a softer yarn and a more drapey, it's just so delicate and in my, just very feminine, I would say. Very whimsical. And so I felt it needed just a bit more. So again, I just added this scalloped edge. Really, really simple. If you can crochet even just basic stuff, it is not hard at all. And I really think it elevates this tank. In all honesty, if I could have, I would have not had this band at the beginning and I would have scalloped the bottom too. I think that would be super, super pretty. But yes, overall, that is the Be My Tulip tank. It is super pretty, very complicated lace work, but in all honesty, if you can follow a chart or even just the words and then eventually learn how to do the chart, it's not that hard. It's really not. It's time consuming, but it's not that hard. So I would recommend this. Again, just look at the notes. Make sure that you trust yourself. If you think the pattern's wrong, it probably is. So there you go. So that took a lot of my time. Okay, the last two things that I have for finished objects, this is obviously going to be a finished object heavy video because, well, it's been a couple months and I've gotten a few things done. After this, videos are going to be more works in progress. So these next two things are something I made for my younger child who is 5. He is 5, but he's in the 95th percentile. So he's quite big for his age. Not like wide big, but just kind of like tall. And he's about the same size as my 7-year-old or almost 8-year-old who is smaller for their age. So I made them a hat and cowl set. So we'll talk about that. So here is the cowl. It looks so tiny and cute. I believe this is the Andals cowl. Again, you know the drill. It's up here. So that is what it looks like. This is the one I made. And it sits like this. I will include the picture of what it looks like on them. So it fits them really, really well. It sits really well on their body like that. And what's really nice about this is technically, if you wanted to, this is just all ribbing. So you could take it and you could put it over the mouth. So if it's a really cold day, instead of just being around their neck, you could, so instead of just covering up here, you could make it taller, or you can put it all the way up to their mouth and just kind of add an extra layer if you don't already have something. The reason that I made this is because it kind of, it not fully replaces, but it kind of replaces them having to use a scarf. So with little kids and scarves, they tend to just fall. They're almost like too bulky and it just doesn't stay well on kids. So what's nice about this is that it covers their neck, but then it also, like I said, goes down. So this will be down in their jacket here. And then it will cover their neck so that their neck will be warm, but it's not going to go anywhere. And then, like I said, you can just take it and move this up to however much you want, all the way to the top. That's going to keep them nice and warm, but it's not going to fall off like a scarf. It's going to feel better for them. Super easy for them to just pull right over their head like a hat, and then they can even just scrunch down. Like if it's like this, they can even just kind of scrunch it down like this. They don't have to fold it over if they can't do that. So very, very simple. I made, I believe, the child size. I will put that information here, but I made that size and it fits my child really well, who, like I said, is about a 5.5-year-old, 90th percentile for their age. And so it could probably, I think it would probably still fit someone who's smaller than that, plus also, again, maybe a little bit bigger because it is very stretchy. So true to size, I think, for what the pattern does. And this, for the kid size, this barely uses any yarn at all. Like, I feel like literally nothing. I mean, I know there's yarn used, but pretty much nothing. Really like that. I'm considering making one for my older kid, just in different color, because honestly, super fast. This did not take long at all, especially because, like I said, it's a kid size and it's so small. It just doesn't take a lot of time. But I mean, you're literally just purling. You do a little bit of an increases and then you do purl ribbing, a little bit of garter. Easy peasy. No problem at all. Now, I will tell you the yarn that this is made in a minute because I have a hat that goes with it and it's the exact same yarn, so we'll just talk about that. So the hat that I made to go with it is the Flaptastic hat. So this is, I'll put up here, this is what it looks like. This goes all the way from baby up to adult. Love that for this pattern, that it is so versatile. And then on mine on the top, as you can see, I didn't put the I-cord, but you can do either a very short I-cord or a loop, like a tie I-cord. I debated and I asked my spouse, I said, what do you think? And they said they felt like the I-cord was a little babyish. And so we decided to leave it out. This is fantastic because number one, I love the flap part of it. So that's the main reason I made this hat. My kids have hats. Lots of really good ones. However, I wanted something that was going to fully cover the ear without at the same time having the big roll and pulling down, because my child that I made this for tends to pull their hats up. So what's nice about this is even if they pull this part a little bit, they still have the long part of the ear. And I'm going to flip this inside out so you can see the really cool part of this. So this is made in fingering weight yarn, okay? But as you can see, this is all just a single layer. And then this ribbing and the flap itself, I'll show you, is double layered. So what's really nice is that it's going to keep the ears and, this forehead part really warm, but also at the same time not being super, super warm on the head where it's too warm, but it's going to be warm enough. So I thought that was really cool. The only con I would say, and it's super hard to tell because this is variegated yarn, but you might be able to see right about here in the hat, I have no idea if you can even see this at all, is right where, and again, I'll flip it inside out, where it goes from the ribbed up to the single layer. When you look on the outside of the hat, and it's not as bad when you're wearing it, but you can definitely see a line where that is, because that's where you picked up stitches, and that might just be me not being able to pick up stitches well, which is fully could be user error. There's a line on it, but honestly, you're not really going to notice it too much. No one's going to be sitting there being like, oh my gosh, there's a line on your hat. That looks horrible. no one's gonna say anything. But like I said, I tried this on him and it fits him super, super well. I think this is gonna be so cute. So if you take this and the cowl that I made, this will be the little, doesn't fit my head, so the little hat. That looks crazy. But yeah, so that's gonna be the cowl and the hat. This is made out of Arcane Fiberworks yarn. Super soft yarn. What I love about Arcane Fiberworks is when you go onto their website, one of the issues that we have with variegated yarn is when it's in a hank. Let me get the hank of the other one. Okay, so here's a second hank of this yarn. Again, Arcane Fiberworks. This is in, it's a really weird name. This is showing Mushy Miracles. So this is in what's called Mushy Miracles. It's a fingering weight sock yarn, 80/20, superwash merino nylon, blah, blah, blah. But so this is what it looks like in the hank. So to me, it looked very camouflage sort of coloring, but obviously in a hank like this, it doesn't always equate to what is it going to look like on the in knit. So, and I know a lot of people have this issue with variegated yarn, is it may look super cool in a hank or in a skein, cake, whatever, and then when you knit it out, it pools funny, or it just doesn't have the same look that you were looking for. So what I like about the Arcane Fiberworks is most of, I don't know if all, because they didn't do this quite as much in the past, but I feel like now that I've looked on their website, they have a lot more of this, is they have a knitted swatch right next to the colorway on the website so you can see what it looks like. I love that. I know that indie dyers can't swatch all of their yarn because then it takes some of the yarn, but I do love that they're able to do that because it's so helpful in knowing if you want to buy the yarn, because you can actually see what it looks like knit. It's all stockinette knit. If you crochet, that's a whole totally another thing. I don't know what it would look like, but knit, they do have the swatches. So I actually have an entire second hank of this because I bought two thinking, oh, I'm going to make a hat and I'm going to make a comb. I'm going to do all of this stuff and it's going to take so much. I still have probably like this much of a ball left. I still have yarn from the first one left and I have a whole entire second hank. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this and make something out of it or just sell it, because I honestly only bought this colorway for this project and I don't think I'm gonna make mittens or make anything else with it, so we shall see. I might end up selling this, I don't know. So if it's something you want, they don't have this colorway anymore. So if you are interested in it and I do sell it, let me know, because maybe I can sell it to you. But again, we'll see. I haven't decided yet. But that is that. I might make another set for my other child in other colors, but he has other interest of what he wants, which wouldn't correlate with this pattern. But if you have kids, you should make this, and the Flaptastic hat. You can make it for an adult too. I might make one for myself, but I have some other hat ideas I want to do for me. But yeah, that is that. And that is the end of my finished objects. Okay, now we're going to get into my whips. Now, technically, I do have another whip. Okay, hold on. I'll get it. Okay, so really I lied. I do have a few other finished objects, but I kind of forgot about them until I thought about my whips. So I have these 3 dishcloths. These are the As Pie Dishcloths. These are all in sugar and cream, different colors. I'm gonna be totally honest. I have been making some of these. I had a friend give me a whole thing of the Lily sugar and cream yarn. And then I had bought some of my own thinking, I'm going to make a bunch of dishcloths and that'd be really good. And this is actually a really easy pattern and it's super cute. However, I hate, and I mean that with a passion, hate knitting with that yarn. It is just the texture of this. Oh, it's just so hard and scratchy. And I hate it every minute of making these. They feel bad on my hands. I don't like it. However, I am making some for a friend, and so I technically still have like 2 or 3 other color works because I got a whole bunch. I got a whole bunch of different colors of this. So I'm slowly working through those to make these. And then once I'm done making these, that yarn is going to go to a lovely home where someone will love working with it, but could not be me. So I do have that, and I have another one in like a pinky greeny orangey color somewhere in this house, but I don't know where it is. But that is technically another whip, but I feel like you have to pull my teeth to get me to work on it. So I know there's some people, I think it was Kelsey Passionate Knits, something like that. She uses this stuff all the time to make tops and all this other stuff in crochet. Maybe it's a totally different thing. I cannot stand working with this stuff. It's horrible, but it is pretty. I mean, look at that. These are really pretty dishcloths. This one is kind of weird, but like these two, super pretty. So if you can deal with working with it, it makes pretty dishcloths. Okay, now the whip that I've pretty much been monogamous knitting. I haven't even swatched anything else as of late, mostly because I've been lazy, but I'll show you an acquisition that I got, but I'm going to take this out. So I am relatively close to being done with this. All I have left is to do the button bands and the button and weave in a few other, I got one little random end that I need to weave in. You're going to see a lot of stitch markers in here. Don't mind that. That's part of the thing. So that's the back. I am making the Peony Vest, which it is super hard to tell. This is what I have so far. I'll have the actual, what it looks like, the pattern. It looks way better than this right now. It's super hard to show because I don't have the button band, and so it doesn't show well. But I got the arms done. I got the collar, the arm, the bottom, pretty much all of it except I'll just we have the big curvy wavy parts of it. Curvy wurvies. Curvies. I just have to do the button band on that. I am using the Viking alpaca, I think it's Bris, B-R-I-S. And see if I can show you. I have no idea if you're going to be able to see this very well. This is the yarn. Let's see if it'll focus. So this yarn is it's not hard to work with, I would say, but it does rip easily. I think this is what's considered an unspun yarn. I think, maybe. But yeah, so it rips very easily. You just have to be very careful if you have to tink, knit back or frog out. Just be careful with it because it rips easy. But I can say this yarn is so soft and so light that it's going to feel amazing to have on because it will provide the warmth, but it's not bulky at all. Now, you do get hairs with it. I can say that. Yeah, you do get hairs. But this pattern calls for chunky yarn. So I think there's a few different, I think one suggestion was a Malabrigo chunky, which is just expensive. And then, or you could use mohair and what is it, a worsted and a mohair, something. There suggestions are in the pattern of what you could do, but again, all of that just kind of came out to be quite expensive for me, just not what I was looking to spend at the time. So I went online and I looked up different chunky yarns. This was a suggestion. It does not seem chunky because of the unspun part of it, maybe. Again, I could be wrong that it's not unspun, or not twisted, do you know what I mean? But this was categorized as chunky. It seems to work. It follows the pattern. I made gauge. No issue there. But again, what I love about it is that it's so light compared to like a thicker yarn. It just feels so light and really nice. So if you're looking for something, but again, it is very hairy. It's you can tell the halo of this. Here, let's see if I can show you. the halo of it. Like, it's got a very big halo. It's very, very hairy, I guess you would say. I'm loving this vest. Like I said, it uses chunky yarn and a larger yarn size needle. I think it's a US 6 and 4, I believe. Whatever the millimeters are on those. I cannot remember. That's the US sizes are what's sticking in my brain. But again, you can look at the pattern and it shows you. So it uses a chunkier yarn and it uses a bigger needle size. So honestly, this has taken me a little bit while longer because I've just been doing it in smaller chunks over time. But if you're dedicated to this, I think the people, if I remember, I didn't do the tester call, but I know M to the third, she was in the tester call for this. And I think she said there were some people who did it all like in a week or less than a week, in a couple days, because it honestly goes really, really fast. I do find it to be a little bit complicated with the sections and the wavy part of it. But again, if you use your stitch markers, as you see, I have many, many stitch markers. And for the pattern, I won't be able to show you this, but the part where you do the swervy part, it's in sections. There's like section A, B, it's in sections because obviously there has to be parts to the swervy. Curvy? Whatever you want to call it. And what I did is I put stitch markers along the way of the different, this one doesn't have quite as many, but you can see little stitch markers. I think this one has a lot more on it. Yeah. Different stitch markers along the way in each one of these stitch markers, which this one is a twisty tie. Each one of those, what I did is I would say like section A ends on row, whatever. I'd write it in and then I put placed and I put what color and type of stitch marker. So, pink stitch marker, yellow stitch marker, silver stitch marker, silver hair tie, silver twisty tie, whatever it is, so that I can see. And so when I come back here and be like, okay, that's exactly where it was. Because if I did need once to go back because I screwed something up and I just was able to go right back to that stitch marker. You can even put in lifelines at each one if you really want to go ham on it. That was really super helpful. And then it's helpful because and then don't take them out when you're done. Because again, I'm not done yet, but in the pattern it says when you're putting the button band on for the swervy part in the front, it tells you which sections to do it a little bit tighter or looser so that it lays flat, so it's not all wonky. So you do need to have those sections still marked out on your pattern so that you can see where that is. So stitch markers, you're going to need quite a few of them for this. So at least have a handful of stitch markers. Or like I said, I used bread twisty ties and that works just fine. So if you have, I stole twisty ties from my mother-in-law when I was making that tank top because somehow I totally forgot stitch markers when I was working on it and I needed them. So then I just kept them and now I have pretty silver twisty tie stitch markers. So hey, you don't need to spend your money, get twisty ties. But overall, I really like this. I should be able to finish it hopefully within the week. Like I said, I just need to do the button band, weave in that little end, and then we'll be done. I'm super happy with this. I think this is such a cute vest. It might take me a little while to get the buttons because I have to go buy them and I want to go in person and look and feel because I want to be able to wear this at work if possible. And when I'm at work, most of my outfit needs to be kind of plain like this. And so I don't want buttons that like stand out really a lot. I want ones that kind of blend in with this. So we shall see how long it takes me to find those. But I can do everything else and then just sew on those buttons later when I find them. So I know somebody who did this without putting the buttons. Someone who left it without any buttons or buttonholes. One of the projects on there, I think it's one of the first few when you look in the projects, it's like a red-ish color. She didn't do any buttons. So if you don't want to, you don't have to. It looks really cute without it if you don't want to do that. So that is my current technically whips. I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to swatch. So let's talk about what I'm going to do next. So the next things that I want to do, I have a few things in mind which I need to get some yarn for. One of them I don't. I should have plenty of yarn for that. but I might need a base color. So these are the things that I want to make next. Okay, actually, I'm going to put a little edit in here. Before I talk about what I'm going to make, I'm going to talk about some of the acquisitions that I got, because that will tie into what I'm going to make. So you saw this a little bit already, but this is a project bag. It is a large project bag. Like, this is my big head that we talked about. This is quite large. So I have this whole vest, plus here's a cake of yarn. I got my pattern. I got this little thing in there. Here's my needles. And then look, this whole thing shoves in there and it fits. So this is, I believe it's called the Stuffie, I think. This is from Stash. I saw this on Unicorn City. I'll link them down below. It's a knit channel. You guys probably already know who they are. But Black Girl Magic, the maker of those bags, she's on that. I'm horrible with this. Anyways, they talked about this person who made this bag, which I don't remember what her name is, but the company is called Stash. So Stash. And they talked about this bag that was made, and they had made a whole round of them. They sold out, but they were going to be doing a pre-order. And so I ordered it back at the very end of July, and I got it in September. It took that long, totally worth the wait. So you're like, Jill, why do you have a big bag with cheese? However, when you look inside, can you see this? Fold in the cheese.
Next step is to fold in the cheese.
So if you're not a, can I say that word on there? Schitt's Creek? I don't know, the first part of it kind of sounds like a bad word. But if you're not a fan of that TV show, you won't get it. But there's a whole funny part where there's the mom and the son are trying to do a recipe, and they're both smart people. And there's a part that says fold in the cheese. He doesn't know how to do it. She doesn't know how to do it. So I'm making this whole thing. So this bag is the fold in the cheese bag. I thought it was hilarious. This is so well made. So this in total, I think with shipping and everything else, was about $50 to close to $60. I think the bag itself was maybe $45-ish something dollars. And then of course with tax and shipping and everything. But I honestly, I bought it anyways. I didn't realize it was this big. I thought it was gonna be about, like, take this part off, like a smaller bag. I was still willing to pay for it because it is so well constructed. So the bottom, as you can see, the bottom here it holds really well flat, and then it has the handle here. This is a very sturdy, well-made handle. This is nice, thick material. This is the zipper, is a regular zipper, not a tiny one. It is, the part here is really, really well made. The construction is amazing. They're on, for at least this bag, I know they have other ones. This one doesn't have any inside pockets. It's just one large bag, but I think it still holds really well. The inside of it, just the construction of this bag is well worth the money. I think that when you buy from smaller businesses, the price tag is going to be a little higher because they're handmade. But if you can support a small business, if you can afford the money to do that, it's going to be well constructed, well made. It's totally worth it if you can afford it. Plus also, the patterns that she has, the material that she uses for her bag, she has some really cool ones. And I'm hoping, next year or maybe for Christmas, asking for another bag from her. Because some of the materials that she has are just so, so cool. And I would love to get another bag from her. Very, very cool. So that was one of the acquisitions. And then the other one is some yarn that I got. And I wanted to say this because it talks about one of the projects that I'm going to be making. So I've actually already caked all of these. So let's take all these out. This is the Viking. Anyways, I got these 3 colors from Knitting for Olives. This is the merino, I think just regular yarn. I'll put in here somewhere what it is. I forgot. I bought these 3 colors when they did the Knitting for Olive supporting Gaza. I got these 3 colors to make 2 different hats. I do not remember what the color names are for these. I think it's like blood orange, a forest green, and like a white. I don't know. Anyways, these 3, so that's kind of the end of my acquisitions, is getting that yarn and that. You know, I've gotten yarn along the way, but like this is my main thing. These 3 are what I'm going to make one of my next objects with. Is going to be the Eat the Rich hat. So in this pattern, they have Eat the Rich, Tax the Rich. They have a few other wording choices that you can change it up. But what I'm going to do is I should have enough to make 2 hats. So this is going to be the main base for both of the hats. And then so I'm going to make one hat in orange and white, which will be for me. And then the other hat is going to be in white and green, which is going to be for my spouse because their favorite color, my favorite color. And I like that because both of these have a super good contrast with this yarn, so you can see the wording really well and the pattern really well. This should be enough for all 3. This looks like flag colors because this looks kind of red, but this looks very bright orange on camera. It is not. It is a quite deep colored orange. So I kind of actually really like that. But yes, I'm going to be making those hats. So what I need to do is very quickly swatch just a little bit of this. I just haven't gotten around to it. I got to find the right needle size. I have no idea. My needles end up getting put in places. I got to get them all back together. But yes, that is going to be one of the next things that I do is this hat. And then the other plans that I have are doing some gift knitting. One of them I think is going to be this hat, which in my brain right now, I can't think of what it's called. But what I like about it is that it is a regular hat, but then when you pull it down, it has like this part will be open, but it covers the rest. I'm thinking of making this for last year I had a surrogate baby, and the father of that baby, I was thinking of making him this hat this year because they live in a very big city, and so they don't have a car, as far as I know. I don't think they do. So they walk a lot. Obviously, big city living, a lot of times you don't have a vehicle. And that baby is now probably 17, 18 months, something like that. So, you know, they take him in the stroller, they go on all different places. And so I thought it might be nice as they're walking out to just have a hat on. And then instead of having to wear like a huge chunky scarf or something like that, they could just pull it over their face if it's a little bit cold and then pull it right back up when they're not cold. It's a really cute hat, even if you don't pull it over. And then it just makes it doubly nice and thick there. And then it just comes in a really cute pattern. So I thought I would do that. And then the other thing I'm thinking of doing is a whole entire crochet shebang. I want to make this, the Hungry Caterpillar set. I bought it from Etsy, and there's just the regular caterpillar set and then the extended part. I bought the extended part. I just have to buy the yarn for it. It's taken me a little while to get it all figured out, but I don't think overall it's going to take me a super, super long time to make everything. And I already have a ton of stuffing that I need to use anyways. And then I thought I would make the whole set and then just buy the little book with it and send it out. I think that'd be cute. I think it'd be age appropriate and kind of fun. So those are the projects that I'm thinking of making. And now the video idea. So I used to, many moons ago, I did daily vlogging with my family. This was long ago. And then we stopped daily vlogging. I just did vlogs every once in a while. Now we've come to the conclusion that I don't want my kids on camera. I don't even put their face out online very much. The sticker thing that you saw now is about the most you're ever going to see of my kids. And I only show that just because, you know, that's what it looked like on them. But I don't allow my kids to be anywhere online. And my spouse has no want of being involved in vlogging anymore. I'm sure if they accidentally got inside a vlog, they're not going to be like, ooh, get me off. They don't care. But they don't want to get into vlogging of any sort. But I kind of, and it sounds strange, I don't want to go back to daily vlogging, but I do kind of miss vlogging. But I was like, what am I going to vlog about my normal life? That's so boring. But I thought on this channel, I could do project vlogs. Now, I've seen somebody else do them, and if I can find who she is, it might take me a bit, and I cannot think of her name right now because I've only seen a couple videos by her. She does vlogs for each project that she makes. And then sometimes she does whole podcasts like this. But she does like smaller videos for each one. So I thought it might be fun. I don't know if I do it for every project, but to make videos for each project, or, you know, a project here and there that I'm making. And that can include vloggy footage of me like out and about doing stuff, and, you know, where am I taking my knitting at? You know, just kind of like talking about how I'm feeling about the project as I'm doing it. Because sometimes I feel like you make something, like for example, when I talked about the Spur Hat, there was a lot more things that I probably could have talked about individually about that project, but I thought you kind of forget about it, and I'm not the best at, in the moment, like writing down notes and doing that. So I thought it might be fun to kind of do videos of the projects that I'm doing, which can include some vloggy footage. So I'm thinking about doing that. So maybe these hats and some of the upcoming projects that I'm going to make could be kind of fun, especially with the Hungry Caterpillar crochet, because it's been a while since I've done a good crochet project other than like the scalloping on that tank top. I haven't done much crochet, so I think that should be fun to kind of go back and do that. I've kind of been working on a blanket, but then I ripped it out because I was like, I'm never going to finish this. But yeah, I hope you guys would be interested in that. If you have any other ideas of vloggy type of videos, things that you would like to see me do, that would be cool. Because again, I kind of miss the vloggy aspect, but I think my life is way too boring to just vlog me and my day, especially when I can't include any of my family. And I don't mean that in a negative way whatsoever. I totally respect that, and I don't want them on the internet. But I think just me alone would be kind of boring. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. So that is everything. I have yapped for over an hour. Hopefully editing this will take out some of that. But yeah, I'm going to try my best to actually make videos more, because I miss it. I really do miss making videos. I think I am simplifying my life a lot more. I have officially taken TikTok off my phone. I found that it was doing less good than, there was more cons than positives to me watching things all day and just causing issues in my life. So I have taken that off. So I'm mostly going to focus on YouTube here. I'm going to try to start learning how to do Instagram and getting that a little bit more. I feel like the yarn art community people, fiber community, does a lot on Instagram, and I need to learn how to use it, because I'm just trying to simplify my life in many different ways and work on focusing like where I am now and what I'm doing in my life, and not the issues of other people, because part of that was making me really sad and just causing me a lot of negativity, and I don't need that in my life for many, many reasons. So, all right, that is that. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. It's super long. If you made it this far, thank you so much. You are the MVP for watching me blab for this long. And yeah, let me know down below, what are you working on? What are you knitting, crocheting, cross stitching, needle felt punching, looping, whatever, crocheting? What are you doing? I would love to know about your projects, because my Ravelry favorites is never ending, and I can always add more to it. So why not? And let me know what your favorite yarn is. What are you working with right now? Because I'm going to be going to Rhinebeck this year, and I need some help with what yarn I should buy. So leave suggestions down below. I would love that. All right, thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.